we see once again a bit of a bounce in markets. Do you think we have much further to rally on the news of lockdowns being lifted? I suppose there is the risk of a second spike in infections or indeed tragically in deaths, and that would be something that I assume would spook the markets lower.
Good morning to you both. Yes, indeed. I think that a sudden spike in the number of new infections would get investors unsettled. I think it's very interesting in the States. Obviously, through last week, about half the US states were opening up and more are scheduled to do so in the next few days, although some of the Democratic states on the East and West Coast are resisting that at the moment. But what I would say about a spike is that, particularly in the US, the Fed have already stated that they will stand behind the markets if the number of cases picks up again and the lockdown is put in place to offer support. That may not be the case to the same extent in Europe, and I think European markets could well be spooked, particularly if we see, having seen Scandinavian markets open up a little more in terms of easing of lockdowns, the numbers were to pick up again. So I think investors remain pretty wary, and we've obviously had a very big bounce in financial assets, particularly equities, in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, huge bounce back into a bull market on a lot of indexes. Does that make sense, Julian, considering I know you don't see a V-shaped recovery in consumer businesses and retail. You don't see, I'm sure, a V-shaped recovery in travel and tourism. In fact, I'm guessing you don't see a V-shaped recovery in the nations of Europe or the U.S. at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously there's been a massive stimulus package announced across the globe, and something that we have not seen since, the Second World War. So it's no surprise that when investors got to grips at the enormity of that package, I think the stimulus package in the States something like 40% plus of GDP. So that it was going to have a positive effect on asset prices in the shorter term, which we've seen. Now I think it's all about how people psychologically adapt to the easing of lockdowns as well. Will they return to the shopping malls, to the high street quickly? Will people feel more relaxed about going out to eat in those areas where they can do that? And that's something that I think very unpredictable at the moment, and obviously will be affected if the number of cases picks up again. So, I think there's quite a lot of uncertainty, and we've had a lot of debate about what shape of the alphabet recovery will be. A traditional V-shaped recovery, I would hasten to add, normally is looked over at least 2 or 3 quarters. I think some optimists are hoping that we have a 1 quarter down and a 1 quarter up, which I think is not possible. So if you want to use a letter, yes, we're more inclined to U than V. We see a recovery coming slowly through the next 6 to 9 months.